Welcome back.
Heyo, happy December.
Yeah, let's talk about the fact that this has been low-key a mess. And by this I mean life in general, because as Olivia knows, this week was crazy for me. However, I also think that getting this season finale out is a great example of just rolling with the punches that life throws you. And what do we mean by that? Well, Olivia and I did this super cool, super special thing where we got together like in person, like we planned a day. We got together. The couch
You
you
had
see there,
outfits,
I was on
the
it.
whole
We,
thing.
yeah, we looked
Yeah.
great. Not that we don't usually, but I'm just saying in general, and we did this hilarious, incredible, like, hitting it just everything. It
Vulnerable,
was
like
beautiful.
analytical.
And I'm
It
not
was
trying to make you jealous,
great.
I'm just trying to tell you how proud we were of this episode. Okay, so we go do this whole episode, we did all the things we needed to beforehand to make sure everything was functional, of course, and would you believe that our audio cut out? Like, our entire episode cut out. Goodbye. Adios.
Wasn't there, just the video, just
And
us
you know what's
miming.
crazy? Yeah, yeah. I honestly I considered, let us know in the comments if you just want to see, a clip of, because we get real intense in it, and I hope that we can remember some of the funniest bits. I always live for the laughs. So we are going to this is not as it usually is, in the sense that usually Olivia and I are just riffing and we're discovering things for the very first time. We're gonna be rediscovering things. I guarantee we're probably gonna go in a different direction than we did on the OG. And you get to find out along with us. It's gonna be great. It is what it is, and you really can't avoid the mess in anything, as we found out. So I think it's kind of fitting that it happened on our beautiful planned season finale where we're together and everything's great. And now we know for the future that you never know. And we will not be YOLOing. Not that we did YOLO, because we tested audio like fucking 6 times.
We
Okay.
were trying it for like half an hour. Yeah. Anyway, welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome to You Can't Avoid the Mess with Olivia and Camilla. We are here
Yes.
today to not cover a topic we haven't covered before because we certainly have in little
Yes.
bits,
We've
but
alluded to it,
we've
but we're
alluded to
gonna
it.
finally do it. And I want you to picture the like goose meme where he's just going like gay, because that's basically the title of today's episode. You're welcome.
That is the objective. Yeah, this, and if it's not already the title of the episode, gay, then you know now.
You know
Welcome
now.
to the gayest episode we've done so far. I
Which
make no promises that it will be the gayest episode ever
I
because you know
thank you.
us.
Yeah, we do, sprinkle and dash, but I think it's one of those things where we keep mentioning it. We'll have a little bit and we'll be like, "Oh, we're gonna talk about this on the Queerness episode. Oh, we're gonna talk about this on the Queerness episode." And we really haven't been doing that to like, I don't know. It's not like a soft launch marketing ploy, we promise. It's just because I feel like we have been so clear on the fact that this topic for us deserves its own entire um ooh, what the heck?
Space.
Yeah,
We're trying to create a queer space for ourselves to discuss this.
yes. And I'm actually gonna put us into this conversation in a very different way than we did last time. And that is to say, okay, hold on. I'm so sorry. First, I
Mm.
need to full screen you, because if I don't full screen you, I'm going to lose my mind. Okay, there we go.
And if you can hear the demons screaming in the background, life is messy.
Are you calling my daughter a demon?
Oh, that's your daughter? I thought that was your cat.
No, it's my daughter.
If you can hear the precious angel screaming in the background,
Yeah, she's trying to go down for a nap right now, and she's not
it's not
liking it.
going well.
So, yeah, I don't think that it's hearable on the audio end. Oh god, I hope not. Hold on. I'm gonna swing the door closed just a tad. Olivia, please regale us with the first gay thing that comes to mind.
Okay. So, when we initially recorded this episode, I forget what we had started talking about, but I think it would be helpful slash fitting to give our listeners the abridged version of our coming out stories, perhaps. So, Camilla and I, when we met, we were in college. We were juniors in college, and we had both come out as bi. And Camilla was in her sort of final form of discovering her sexuality. Yes, yeah. And I was at the time, I didn't know that I was not in my final form,
Mm.
because I was very like, "Oh, yeah, ¿por qué no las dos?" Like, very in my bisexual, counterculture, loving the flag, all of that. But that had come from basically, at this point, it's now more than half my life, possibly most of it, depending on how early you consider, being interested in women and not knowing what that was. And the earliest memory I have that I'm now questioning that is, I think last time I talked about like my gym teacher, my gymnastics teacher versus my ice skating teacher and the
Yes.
difference in how praise felt. Well, I remembered an earlier one,
Ooh.
my first grade teacher.
You had a crush on your first grade teacher?
But I think so. At this point, I think I did. I like
I
both because
definitely
I
did
was 6
not have
years
a
old.
crush on my first grade teacher, in case anyone was wondering. Olivia's love life continues to be the more questionable of the two. Continue. I'm cringier, but you're
More
scarier.
questionable.
Continue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. Cringy and scary.
Right.
Um, awesome. Put
Gross.
that on a t-shirt. That's our merch coming up, our merch drop. Welcome back to You Can't Avoid the Mess with Cringy and Scary. Anyway, Miss Shimizu, if you're out there, she was probably right out of her teaching program. She seemed
Okay,
really
thank
young
God.
to
I was
me.
really scared for some reason that you were gonna be like, she was this adorable 72-year-old woman, and I was like, Olivia, please don't tell me that you had your first crush on a 70. Not that not
No.
that there's anything wrong with being older, it's just that, like, the vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, at
Continue.
that age, that would have been terrifying and concerning. But yeah, she was in her maybe mid-20s.
Okay.
And at that age, because I was 6 years old, it was the classic, do I wanna be her or do I have a crush on her? But that second part did not occur to me
Right.
until, like, last year, 2 years ago. So I was like,
Fascinating.
"Oh, that felt different than my other teachers."
Well, and you know what? I think it's so interesting when we think about like how for a lot of us queer kids, it's very common the experience of being like, "Hey, um we knew this so early on." Um and there is so much I think pressure and kind of like resistance to that. I know that I've heard it a lot, broadly speaking, and people like really rejecting that idea and being like, oh, kids have no idea of that at that age, or like kids don't know, yada, 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 yada. And while I get that, I think that it's actually not that crazy to think that at those ages we would be having those things. We might just not be able to put a name on them. You know what I mean? We might not be able to
Exactly.
identify them the way that we can now as grown adults. But I hear you. I mean, for sure believe that my first crush was on my kindergarten best friend. I just didn't realize that it was a crush because at the time I thought that everybody liked their best friend like that. Everybody wanted to be with their best friend all the time and in that way. But I also and this is just I think speaks to the like the bisexual paradigm maybe that a lot of bi folks have. I felt that way about boys, and so I thought that it wasn't possible. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know that bisexuality was a concept until I was probably in my later teens
Mm,
because there was
mhm.
so much pressure. Like you were either straight or you were gay. Like there was nothing, we didn't even start using terms like pansexual or uh any of the things that we use now until way later, at least in where the groups that I was in, where I was being raised, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that there is so much to be said for that confusing part of bisexuality, at least for me, where because I had strong crushes on boys growing up, I almost felt like it wasn't not it wasn't possible, but it wasn't real in the same way because I didn't realize that
Mm.
it could be that I just liked both. I didn't know that that was an option.
Yeah, you, like, unintentionally gaslit yourself into thinking that your feelings weren't real because you didn't have a model for it.
Right. And because I went to a really small school, like a teeny tiny school, and I had this really close and deep, intimate friendship with my best friend from like age 6 to 16, I constantly, especially as I got like more and more sure of how gay I am, um, I constantly found myself questioning, like, is she my best friend or do I like her? Like, I was so scared of falling in love with my best friend. And I've gone over that a lot of time. Maria, if you listen to this, hey, I think that even she at one point thought to herself maybe like that's where I was gonna finally like one day like confess my feelings for her because the day that I told her that I was gay, she was just kind of like, yeah, I know. Because I think that it it had been like kind of hinted around, but there
Mhm.
wasn't. And as an adult, I can firmly say like there was nothing romantic at all. Not even like a splish splash, not even like a, oh, if things were different, oh, if you weren't, like nothing at all. It wasn't like any other, like, for example, like you and I, which we'll get to later, but,
Yeah.
um, tee hee hee, but there really wasn't, and I think that that was the other thing that's really confusing and something that's I don't know if you will resonate with this, but I think one of the hard parts of being queer or discovering your queerness is that when you don't like X person, then you question if you really do have these feelings or if you really are that way because you don't feel that way towards everyone, conveniently forgetting that, like, we don't like, straight folks don't like every single guy or every single girl, but somehow we're like, "Oh, I don't like you, therefore I must not be gay." You know what I mean? It's crazy how we do that in our own heads.
Yes, and that's a great point about specifically, like, women who find themselves attracted to other women.
Mm,
We do not necessarily find every single woman that we see attractive for that reason. It's just a matter of who the person is and your preference. But that was one of the things that, now that I'm thinking about it, now we're having revelations here on the pod. This is Olivia thinking in real time.
ooh.
Now that we're reflecting on this, that was a bigger piece than I had thought in coming out. It was like, oh, I don't really consider myself that into boobs. Like, I'm not sure if I would be able to have sex with a woman because that's what everybody says. Everyone that I have talked to who is
Mm,
really struggling in the straight side of online dating, they're like, it's really rough out here. The men are terrible. I'm like, well, what about women? Like, have you considered that? And they're like, oh, no, I'm just not attracted to women. And I don't think I could ever have sex with a woman. I don't know. Like, it seems messy and scary. And I was like, that's what I thought as well. But I mean, you don't know unless you try. And also, there is this sort of narrative around, and we can talk about this more in the sex episode, is, is
not the
what
sex
I'm
episode.
is what I'm calling it. Um, there's this story that I think other women tell each other about having sex with women that is, like, extra dirty, extra taboo,
Oh,
kind of like
interesting.
having sex with a man is more straightforward and acceptable.
Well, I think it's more definable
Mm.
because
Mhm.
we grow up with so much language around first base, second base, third base. We have like these very neat categories. There's the people, myself included. I will say shout out to one of my college professors who was like, if you're sitting in this classroom and you don't think that oral sex is sex, then you're dumb because it's literally in the name. And I was like, oh, um,
All right. All
because
right, shout out to Dawn.
we love that guy. He was super cool. What is his name? Jeff. Jeff, if you're listening to this, shout out to you. It and it's true because we grow up with such a, especially when we think about the intersection, and I'm gonna go into a little bit, and I'll go into a little bit of who I came out to first and why that's relevant to my life. But when you grow up in a religious sphere also, right, you have like these neat defined categories and lines that define like purity and define who you are. And I think part of the queer kid struggle is you're struggling with just sex as a concept or sexuality as a concept, like coming into your body, like, all these things. But also you're struggling with that plus having these desires, ideas, whatever, questioning about it just feels like everything is like you're like walking on eggshells about everything. So Olivia knows the story now, but the first person I ever came out to was a priest, Father Jerry. Wonder what he's doing up to in life, and it was in confession. And I think that that says a lot about how what I was feeling and where I was at, that I felt like it was something scary and a sin to bring to him. To be fair, I wasn't like bringing it in like I have sinned because I have these impure thoughts or something. It was genuinely because like I didn't know who to turn to. And I don't know why I decided that confession was the place to have this moment of myself and finally like say it out loud to someone that wasn't like a kid, because I came out to the very first person I came out to was my fourth grade best friend, and we told each other like our deepest darkest secrets. And then the next day he went and told the whole class. And that's when I learned that the most effective way to hide your biggest, darkest secret is to make it a joke. So that everyone like, I'm like, oh yeah, oh ha ha ha. And like, I think that that's where I started covering a lot of my hurt with being funny, the whole other thing. But I think that I was coming off of that and it felt almost so scary. And now I'm having revelations on the pod. Maybe for me, it was the fact that I knew that confession was like a space that was not going to be shared. Like he could not, based on the rules of the environment we were in and the space that we were in, go out and be like, "Hey guys, by the way." So I like say to him, like, "Hey, Father Jerry, I think I like girls." Fun, fun, fun. And I remember him very, very quickly saying, "Okay, like, you like looking at girls? Because let's be real, girls are hot." And that was a whole thing, 'cause I was like, "Did a priest just say girls are hot?" Um,
Those were
or
his direct words. Father Jerry.
or, like, "You wanna be with girls?" And I said, "No, like, I wanna be with them." And he famously said, "Okay, well, if that's how it is, then that's the way that God made you, and don't stress about it. That's just what it is." And it was just so matter of fact. And back to our conversation, body positivity, body neutrality, whatever. Like, yes, I think queerness is beautiful and all these things, but also I think that that moment was very formative because it is a fact. Like, I am gay. End of story. And it
You are
doesn't
gay.
I am. And it doesn't have to be this like huge monumental thing. Is it a large part of my understanding of myself? Does it define a lot of the way that I think about the world and the way that I think about politics and history? Sure. However, sometimes it's not that deep. It's just that I'm gay. You know what I mean? Like sometimes,
Yeah. Gay people are people.
right. And it's not like it's not my entire personality. And not that it's bad if it is. I'm always like, the nuance. But I think that that moment really saved me. If I hadn't had that moment and I had had the horrible coming out with my parents that I did, I think I would have been in a much more fragile. It's scary to think about like where my mind would have gone. But I clung to that like a little baby koala. Like anytime I had a horrible coming out story, every time that people questioned, I remember in college, guys would question the fact that I was gay because I had long hair. And they were like, no, like you can't be gay and have long hair. And then when I shaved my head later on in college, then they were like, you can't not be gay and have like you can't have a boyfriend and have a bald head. You know what I mean? Like it's and I
Yeah.
think that for me, so much of queerness, so much of um and stepping out of the labels of like bisexual or lesbian or whatever, but so much of just being gay is like this beautiful, profound rejection of like being boxed up and like being defined. and
Mhm.
just like a deep openness, because if I can question myself at that like deep level, then I can question like literally anything. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about half the things that I think. I mean, outside of the fact that I think that if you, do harm onto others, like, that's fucked up. Like, do no harm, take no shit kind of vibe.
Yes.
But outside of that, like, I'm very open to changing my mind about lots of things, and I think part of that does stem from my queerness, from the exploration that I've had to do on myself and on others, and just kind of like where I've gotten to understand that it is an important part of me, regardless of, the fact that I am married to a man, and at this point in time, a man who identifies a man who identifies as like a straight cis guy, you know?
Mhm.
Um That
Yeah,
was
let's
its own
talk about
thing to
that.
unpack. That was its own thing to unpack, right? Because I think, that time when the episode when you said, like, you thought, you would die if you'd never experienced, like, whatever with a woman.
Mhm.
I I thought that I would feel that way, and I don't, because I don't well, one, I would have never predicted that I would meet my, like, life partner at 20, Jesus Christ, on Tinder of all things, back in my "I'm trying to get free snacks" vibes. But
Oh my
2,
god.
listen, I am who I am. I am who I am.
We need
Eh,
this next.
I like to eat and I like it free. But I think that there was there is so much more to life than sex.
Mm,
And uh I don't actually like I don't feel like it, you know what? I'm gonna relate this in a weird way to veganism, and bear with me here.
here we go.
Um, it's not that I can't go out and have sex with a woman or go out and eat me, whatever. It's that I'm like actively choosing not to, because like what I found on the other side is just like so much greater than that. Are women hot? Absolutely. Would I like to get with many of them? Sure. However, I think that there's something just so much bigger in the person that I found, and he just happens to be a guy. And I think that's the other thing too, is like I didn't go looking for a man. I didn't whatever, like Dom could have come in any shape, size. Dom, if his spirit was in any body and looked any way, I would like to think that would he's just my person in that way. And so it has nothing to do with what he looks like or what his genitalia is or literally anything other than the fact that he is just him. And so when I think about it, it's kind of like the conversation I had once with my mom about cheating. And she was like, "So you're not scared that he could cheat on you?" And I was like, "I mean, like, I've never been cheated on, so I don't want to undermine it, but like, not really, because if he did, then I mean, like, sure, he could decide to throw away everything that we built and all these like wonderful things, and now our life together and our child and like our relationship. And if that's more important or bigger to him than this, then okay, like that's his choice. But I don't genuinely think that that's more attractive, like that idea or like the risk or the whatever is worth it. And I think that I feel the same way. Like I could absolutely break up with him tomorrow and go out and have all these escapades with women and like quote have my moment that I never had, but I don't really feel like I'm missing out. Like I'm sure it would
Wow.
have its wonderful things, but it just is not. I don't need it to live. Just like I think that conversation, and I want to point to something that you said. I don't remember if it was in a past episode or when we were in our first iteration of this, but I remember you saying like, like it is one of the core fundamental things that reminds you that you're gay. And I kind of want to push back on that and say like, is it not having experienced a woman, period, or is it not having experienced your partner, Bella? Because like I feel like the relationship that you're in
Mm,
right now is so different in every way, and not just because she's a girly girl, not because she's a
mhm.
woman, but because she's her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I will answer that and segue back to what you were mentioning before about feeling like to be queer there's a certain pressure to be put in a specific box of
Mhm.
queerness and what that looks like. So holding on to that. Um, Regarding Bella, who will listen to this, I love you very much. I it's both. It's like
Mm,
I have had because backtracking here, our experiences in high school regarding queerness were very different. I was
mm.
in choir, which is where a lot of the queer kids were. I was in the choral program, and then I was also
You know gays loves to
um,
sing. Sorry.
gays love to sing. He That's the whole plot of Glee, isn't it? I've never seen Glee.
You've never seen Glee?
No,
What?
I know, and yeah,
Okay.
and Bella was also dismayed because it holds a very special place in her heart, R.I.P. Naya Rivera, etcetera. Um, anyway, a lot of the gays were in choir. Some of them were in theater, but it was mostly choir where the gays were. And then we also had a swing dancing club at my high school. We called it Swing Club for short, and
And
I
you were in
still
it?
have I was in it for 3 years and
Oh
I was
my,
president for the last year. Yeah, I thought I told you that. I
no,
can send you a
I had
video of it
no
later.
idea that. Have I ever told you that I watch West Coast Swing? Okay, this is like a whole other. Nope, not the time. We're not going to devolve this to a conversation about swing dance. We continue.
That could be a whole episode in itself. But anyway, I was in this club at a time when it was like, gay marriage had passed and I grew up in the Bay Area in a mostly white community, a mostly liberal community where there were lots of gay or questioning people. And a
Mm,
lot of my friends, especially in swing club, were gay or at least exploring that identity. And there was a time when I was like between boyfriends or whatever, having some flirtationships, and I went on a friend date. I'm doing air quotes here.
so
Um,
you went on a date. Continue.
I went on a date with a girl who was a year younger and who was already identifying as queer. She was the first person I ever knew to come out as pansexual.
Mm,
And we went on a date and we walked down the street holding hands, saw a movie, got dinner, and like smooched a little. And that was when I was still identifying as a 1 on the Kinsey scale, like mostly straight with a couple exceptions because someone had told me what the Kinsey scale was. Have you heard of this?
I
The
know what
Kinsey
a the
scale?
Kinsey scale is, but I don't think
Okay.
our listeners might. So I think you should probably explain for the sake
Okay.
of the people.
So Kinsey was I forget what decade this was that this, quote unquote research was done, but there was this man whose name was Kinsey, and he came up with the scale of sexuality where 0 is 100% straight and 6 is 100% gay. And a lot of my friends identified as somewhere between 3 and 6, and my boyfriend and I at the time identified as 0 and 1. Um, LOL. I wrote a poem about it. Um, oh yeah, I got to show you my poetry collection too. Um, we would spend a lot of time playing Spin the Bottle, Cards Against Humanity,
Okay.
just doing gay shit on the weekends when we were supposed to be practicing our little dance routine.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry. I just want to backtrack to this really quickly because I will lose this train of thought. You had that whole experience with this girl
Mhm.
and you still got to college and you were like, I've never even been with a girl?
Yeah, because I had only ever kissed them randomly. I had kissed, held hands, and nothing else.
That's more than lots of people when they say I've
Well,
never been with a
okay.
girl. I mean, sure, you
I
haven't,
had no yeah.
yeah, you hadn't put your body parts on each other, I suppose, but like, come on, dog. That's so
I had
funny
never
because
seen a boob.
that is wild to me because like I feel like and that's so interesting. what I think about is just how nervous you were about the concept of, like, asking a girl out when you'd already had these experiences, like, that's so fascinating to me, you know? Like,
Because
I
I had
remember
never
the
done that.
well,
It was
yes.
always like a calculated it was every experience I'd had with a girl up until college had rules where, like, spin
Mm.
the bottle or truth or dare, there were things that were expected of you, and
Yeah,
you could interpret that however you want. Like, I discovered that I liked a little bit of teeth in my kissing. I liked a little bit of biting by playing spin the bottle and kissing another girl.
interesting. And this was when you had
So,
boyfriends? Like, in
yeah.
that fascinating.
Mhm. Yeah, it was quite a time, but anyway, swing club, that was the vibe. We literally had T-shirts because most of the people in the club were gay, including the president at the time, my best
Okay.
friend, Billy, if you're listening to this, probably not, I don't know how you would find this. I think about you all the time, miss you, love you, hope you're doing well. Um, we had T-shirts on them that said, "We swing that way."
Oh my god.
How gay
Is that
can
very I think
you
the
be?
average heterosexual person would find that very gay.
Yeah, and I would wear that around and I'd be like, "Hee hee hee." That was like my little vicarious, like I'm in this straight
I'm a
presenting
I'm a
relationship.
ally.
Yeah, I'm an ally. LOL. I'm going to Pride with you and straight presenting. I'm here and like I think women are attractive, but I could never. I could never actually be with a woman. Oh my god, I'm going to get married and have twins and name them Jeffrey and Owen and all this stuff. Like crazy work.
You just
So
said a
that was
lot. You would continue, I guess.
That was the vibe. Well, hey, we're vulnerable. I'm not wearing foundation today. We're really getting deep into it.
I mean, neither am I, but I
So,
never do, so that's not really saying much.
you
Continue.
just you have great skin.
I really do. Continue.
Um,
Just kidding. Can you imagine? I'm like, say less, say more, but
Silent, yeah. More of that on our makeup episode. Um, so that was the energy, and it got to the point where my boyfriend and I were one of two straight couples in the club of 30. And people called us mom and dad because we were like the domestic,
yeah.
like kind of
I
bickering.
also
He was
got called mom
the,
and dad in high school.
yeah. And I still to this day have kind of mixed feelings about that.
Mm.
But I really internalized that identity that I was given. And it became a thing where, like, okay, if people are looking to me as the straight motherly figure in my friend group, maybe that is what I am. And
Mm.
it was between that and then the friends that I did have who were openly gay, like the girl I, went to the movies with,
Oh, wow.
IREX.
Oh my god, featuring
Oh
the
my god.
demons. Now this is the demon. This is not my sweet baby child. Well, you are, but not in that way.
Yeah. Um, so it was like, okay, I've been involuntarily assigned this identity of mom, of straight, motherly whatever to my younger friends.
Yeah.
And the friends that I knew who were openly gay were, I'm going to use air quotes again here, like too gay, like too loud about it. The
Mm.
friend next eventually dyed the bottom half of her hair rainbow
Mm.
and performed a dance for Pride in the quad, was president of GSA, the Gay Straight Alliance at my high school. Like the people who were openly gay were
Gay to the
so
max.
gay to the max,
Like
like
super visibly so.
visibly so. And this is the point that I was trying to get to earlier with feeling like if you're queer, that you have to be totally gay, you have to do that because that's how I felt. I saw all my friends being totally gay and like
Mm.
having girlfriends if they were women or like talking about getting dick all the time if they were boys. And I didn't identify with either of those.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, I'm just not gonna come out. I'm not gonna identify that way because I A, don't identify as totally gay, and B, have been shown by family members and other friends that being so visibly gay makes you a target
Mhm.
and undesirable to be around.
Mhm.
So I did not come out the way that I don't know if I even told you this. The way that I came out to my parents was on Facebook. Our freshman year of college, I put on, like, Gay History Day or, like, Bi Awareness something. It was one of those days in the
You were like,
fall
"I picked
that's
a gay
gay.
holiday, and I said this me too."
Yes, I did. I
Wow.
posted it, and, my dad commented and was like, "Love you, proud of you," and my mom was pissed.
Oh. Dun, dun,
She
dun.
Yeah, she was upset that I hadn't
Told her?
told her, and
Mm.
I was like, "Okay, sure, I get that," because I did kinda have a habit of doing that, of just, like, making these pronouncements without, like, she's not the first to hear it. Plot twist, I'm an adult, and I can say things to the people that I want whenever I want, but it was like, "Okay, I chose not to have this conversation with you at this point, and, we repaired it later, and I'll talk about that
Mhm.
when, we get into Bella, but, we we would have these conversations about my friends in high school who were openly gay, and
Mm.
all I heard was just how performative she thought it was,
Mm.
and how she thought everyone was
Why do you have to be
faking and they didn't
so
know.
loud about it? Why do you have to be so in your face about it? As if
Yeah,
we don't get shoved heterosexuality in our faces all the time in every commercial and every ad and every kids movie and everything. Like God, sorry, that just makes me think of every time that,
exactly,
like the Disney scene in Frozen gets blown up and people are like, "Oh my god, they're everywhere." And I'm like, I mean, yeah, because we're people, but also y'all be up in here showing us at like 2 years old, like, you know, all kinds of imagery and no one's fucking yelling at
mhm.
you. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, me watching Titanic at 4 years old.
Well, that's a choice. Jesus.
Yeah, so it was like, okay, being gay in this way, the only way I know how to be gay, because that's
Mhm.
what's been modeled for me, is wrong. It's
Mm.
performative, it's too much, and, like, if you're going to be gay, why do you have to make it your whole personality?
Mm.
That rhetoric kept me in the closet for years. And like I said, it wasn't until college when I started meeting people who showed me that gay, queer, whatever, however you want to identify, is a label that you can have if you want, but you can also just like be a person, and you can be proud of your sexuality and not be 100% defined by it in every aspect of your life.
Even though
So,
it does affect every aspect of your life.
yeah, it affects
And
it,
and and
but
I think that
yeah.
that's the nuance to find there. No, I agree with that. I think that, I mean, I grew up as a Glee kid. I would watch Glee with my mom, and I I heard rhetoric like, people are gay because they don't pray enough, as if it was a punishment. And
Mm,
actually that was like the hardest part when I came out to my mom, is because I didn't feel comfortable going to church anymore. And I finally just she was like, "Why don't you want to go?" And like it just kind of came out in the car one day. I was like 16. And I had a boyfriend at the time. So it's important because I remember saying to her like I I told her, and then she was devastated. And then there was a day where she told me, she was like, "Well, of course you're this way. Like you don't pray. Like if you had a closer relationship with God, then it wouldn't be like this." And I was like,
pray the gay away.
I we tried and failed. Because I did. I rejected that part of myself because I knew for me it wasn't even the world, it was my circle. I knew the way that queerness was discussed in the people that I grew up around. I had friends whose parents had like literature next to the toilet in the bathroom about why homosexual sex was bad, right? Because but
Oh
actually,
my god.
that that article, shout out to that article, gave me so much understanding. It really did, for just base level how to actually have this conversation between folks that are really religious, because it was when I read that article that made me go, "Oh, yeah, of course, if you think the only goal of sex is procreation, then you would define anything else outside of that as worthless, useless, and just, like, contrary."
Hedonistic.
Right. Um,
Mhm.
but if you can see sex as so much more, which I do, in terms of, like, intimacy and joy and connection and all of these things that have nothing to do with procreation, then yeah, of course, you know what I mean? Wow, that I just remembered that. That article really, it did do so much for my mind. But yeah, I think that there was so much risk that I felt in losing the people that I grew up around. And I still think that if I had ended up, if Dom had been a woman, if I had ended up with a wife instead of a husband, like, there is probably a large chunk of people that I grew up around that wouldn't want to engage with me anymore because of that. And I've accepted that. And I remember when you and I met, like, that email that you watched me write to, like, the last person I wanted to come out to before putting it on Facebook
Mm.
or whatever.
Oh my god, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And to this day, she's still a really important part of my life. And I wonder sometimes if that would have changed had I ended up, with someone that isn't a man. I guess we'll never know. Unless, of course, Dom dies in a tragic accident and then I end up with a woman. But,
Hopefully
let's
not.
let's not find that one out.
Yeah.
But I think I saw queerness as inherently risky. And it is. I want to be really clear
Mhm.
that in all the things that Olivia and I are talking about, especially these days, like, there has never been a riskier time to be gay. There has never been a riskier time to be trans. Uh it is hard out there for queer folks in legislation, in overall general sentiment, in the villainizing of trans people for just existing.
Mhm.
And this conversation by no means diminishes that. But I think in my tiny little scale of life, it was a lot more risky than I thought it was. I have not quietly, but I've, like, casually come out to most of my family, my very conservative Catholic, Colombian family. And,
That's a
some
lot.
people kind of just, like, disregard the comments probably, but we're good now. My mom is so different these days. My dad is hilarious. One time we joked about me coming out to the family by just bringing a woman to a party. Sorpresa! Um, that was my dad's idea, which is really funny. My mom watches movies now and she's like, "Oh my god, are they boyfriends?" And I think that one of the biggest things that I've taken away from my personal, like, coming out journey and everything that I've experienced over the past, you know, 30 years of life, most of which I deeply understood that I was queer in some way, is that, with enough time, love, and energy, like, relationships can change if both people are willing for them to. And
Mhm.
that's like the crux of it, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes people aren't ever going to want to, and they're not safe, and you gotta go no contact. But there are other people that can change. It just might not look exactly the way that you want it to, or
Yeah,
that you expect it to.
that's my mom
Mm,
to a T, going from, like, why are these people so gay? Why are they so loud about it? To, "Hey, are you and Bella coming on our family vacation?"
mm,
Is Bella coming to this? Is
mm,
is Bella coming to that? So I came out to my parents by introducing Bella, not directly to them,
mm,
but by telling them, "Hey, after my year of celibacy, blah, 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 I," yeah, that's not, I went on Bumble, and
mm,
I no, Bumble? I was on Bumble, and then I was like, with the whole, the way that
Hinge?
they had those billboards about, Black women. Did you see that? The Bumble Fumble?
No.
Where they made these billboards that were I'm gonna have to find them now, but they were specifically targeting Black women in a negative way.
Interesting. No, I didn't know about that.
So,
There's, as you know, my my passion project in life is online dating. So, you'll have to tell me about it later. But no, didn't you meet Bella on Hinge?
yeah. So I was on Bumble and Tinder and those in the past, and my brother and his fiance met on Hinge, and I was like, okay, if they're if they met on Hinge and they're engaged now, then maybe Hinge will work. So
Oh
I
God,
found her.
the masses and their stupid thoughts about online dating. Continue.
um, I met her on Hinge, and it was God, like maybe 2, 3 weeks after we had started talking, we'd had 1 or 2 dates at that point, and I was home with my parents for, like, a birthday party, and I was in their bedroom, and I was like, "Hey, can I tell you guys something, like, together?" And I sat them down and told them that I was back into dating, and the person that I was seeing was a woman. And as soon as I said that, because I had been using they, them pronouns to talk about this person
Mm,
until my mom asked me straight up, "Is it a woman?" And I said yes, and immediately started bawling
oh
because I
wow.
was because I was expecting her to give me the silent treatment
Mm,
or openly reject me,
mm,
and she didn't. We, like, hugged it out, and she asked for pictures, and it was mostly good. I mean, the only part of it that was was this whole and this goes back to the intersection of queerness and gender. She was like, "Oh, thank God she's feminine." Because if I had been with a butch woman,
then that would have been
like
a problem.
being with a man is okay,
But
but
not
being
a
with a
butch woman.
woman who is
LOL.
more masculine presenting. So, we're still kinda working on that.
Interesting.
But yeah, just really juicy little nugget there. I still think about that sometimes.
Huh. My dad was very neutral. When I came out to my dad, I said, "Dad, I like girls." I was crying, and he said, "Okay." That was it.
Thanks, Dad.
And then he just went, and then we moved on. And I was like, "Oh, well, really hyped that one up in
Okay.
my head and nothing happened."
Well, maybe in the future it'll be like that.
Yeah, when my kids are like, "Mom, I have to tell you something," and I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "I think that's great." And then I'm like, "Oh, okay." I think that I think about, how nice it is going to be for, like, my daughter, for this to not even be a question, right?
Mhm.
And for it just to be whatever it is. Like, not having to come out, I think, is fascinating, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what if you
Yeah.
didn't have to come out? But anyways, okay, we can't end the episode without talking about us, because I do think that
Ha
that's
ha ha. The
um
homoerotic elephant in the room.
I don't know why, with the word homoerotic to me has always been so funny that I just, like, imagine, like
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 a harem.
no, I was gonna say, like, you said that, and I imagine, like, an elephant with legs or something. I don't know. Um, like a
Come for the
belly
secondhand
dancing
therapy, stay for the chaos.
belly dancing Dumbo. Hey, okay. Um, so I don't even know. What do you I
I
mean,
don't even know how it started.
what? Us being
Like
gay?
like the well, no,
Ooh, we discussed that.
LOL. Yeah. Like, no, just the extra gayness of it all, because we were independently gay, and then there was always this just kind of like, "Ah, like, what if?" You know, like what would happen?
Yeah.
And we like slept in the same bed. We shared clothes. We spent a lot of time together in the
Mhm.
recording studio. We got drunk together. We did
And
so
nothing
many
happened.
things.
I wanna be really
Nothing
clear.
happened.
Nothing ever happened. I think that okay, honestly, in, like, the weirdest way, and I've said this to people about you, but I don't know if I've ever said it to you directly, so wow,
I'm scared.
um, what a decision I'm making to say this on the pod for the first time, but I think in many ways, like, you were the most affirming and devastating part of my coming out journey simultaneously because I don't need to have been with a woman to understand that that's, like, something that I could have easily had because I genuinely, like and Dom and I have talked about this a lot, like, had you and I met before Dom and I did, like, I would have absolutely pursued a relationship with you. It would have
Me
gone
too.
terribly because of where you were at, and, like, we saw how our friendship imploded, like, can you imagine if that was us together? Like, that would have been crazy, right?
It would have been like stereotypical lesbian breakup, just horrible,
Yeah, it would have been
messy.
horrible, and that's what
Mhm.
I mean by the devastating part was when I thought about how hard our friendship ending was to me, I there was always an underlying of, "Oh, like, thank God it wasn't even more than what it was," because we were already so intertwined in like you said, like, spending all of our time together and the show and the sleeping in each other's beds and, like, all these things. I can't imagine adding a romantic component to that and then having it fall apart the way that it did, like, I think it would have been honestly, I think it would have been too much for me. And I think that it
Mm.
was a really good experience for me and Dom to have like put into practice like what we've always said, which is that if either of us ever started to catch feelings for someone, like we would just talk about it. And we did. Like we had multiple conversations about it while you and I were like becoming friends and like, it was like something that you and
And
I talked
flirting
about.
with each other.
Right. And but even after you and I imploded, like I would have moments where I'd be like, I just feel like and Dom got it. Cause like it wasn't that I had feelings for you. It was just more the understanding that I could have and that I would have
Mm.
had Dom and I
Mhm.
not been together. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
don't think and more importantly, maybe that you felt the same way. Or at least in that moment I did. Cause obviously when our friendship imploded, then I was like, well, I guess I just made it all up. But I think that in that I never experienced that before. That was my first experience of feeling like I knew for a fact that a woman felt the same way about me, not just, "Oh, like, I'm interested in this woman because 'cause I've had that. Actually,
Mhm.
funnily enough, in high school, this girl, her name was Olivia. Oh god, I shouldn't say that out loud, but whatever. She transferred into our school junior year, and, I thought she was the most beautiful creature I'd ever seen in my whole life, and then she opened her mouth and her laugh I couldn't stand. And then that was the end of that. My crush was like, "Beep, goodbye." And if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. Um, your laugh set me off the edge. Anyways, but you
Lots
know
of
what I mean?
confessions this episode.
I know. Why do I feel like our episodes are like 20% shout outs? It's the radio host in us. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think that it was such a confirming experience and I think it was really important to me, and I think that it like, we talked a little bit about this in the past, right? Like, our partners are very, secure, and I don't know
Mhm.
that anyone would be okay not okay, because I don't wanna make it seem like a bare minimum, like, but, like, there is no inch of doubt in either of our relationships or in either of our partners of us having, like, a deep, intimate friendship. Even though there's history there that could have
Mhm.
turned or would have turned romantic had circumstances been different.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, for some perspective here, like Bella and I didn't even really have that conversation. It's like there's
Sure.
no I don't wanna say threat, but, like, there's no concern
Well, there was no
that
reason for you guys to. Duh.
well, yeah. I mean, but
No, I
just
mean
like
in the sense that, like, this was all happening when Dom and I had first got together and, like, it was actively occurring. We were actively in each other's
mm,
lives versus you and Bella
mhm.
met. I wasn't even in the picture as a friend, much less something that someone could
an
perceive.
interest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, but no, it's the same sort of thing. It's we're so stable and really that's also I think part of why we were able to reconnect as friends was
Mm,
because of this hyper specific experience that we had
mm,
where we were kind of thrown together and then this class turned into a really really intimate friendship that became kind of flirtatious and like remember you probably do because like it was a big part of the things that we talked about when we would talk about you and Dom getting married and having a family and me just, like, living with you guys and third wheeling.
no,
You don't remember that? Oh
no,
my god, we talked about it all the time.
no recollection.
Wow. That's crazy. Like, I still think about that because 'cause I'm like, "What if that had actually happened? How crazy."
Well, I
You
think
know,
we
like,
should just,
live
like
in godmother.
we should just, we should do that, but with Bella. That's gonna be the 4 of us and my daughter and our cats, our collective many cats. Yeah, no. Nothing. It rings no
Wow.
bells. But I think that that's kind of part of the interesting bit of being human, like, different things make different impressions on people, and
Mhm.
I think, like we've talked about before, like, there were so many parts of our friendship that got not necessarily eroded, but, like, got really cloudy in the midst of, the messiness that came after, and so there's lots of stuff that I'm sure I'll remember later, um, or maybe I won't. But, find out next. Wow, this episode was a lot. Before we get into our episodes of the week, our songs of the week, I do want to, just for quick shits and giggles, ask Olivia to share with the class the first animated character that she had a crush on.
Of course, because I still think she's hot.
And then I'll share mine and you can roast me in the comments and it's fine.
Okay. So this is featured in my I didn't even talk about the reasons I'm gay list. Um, but she's on there. This is I'm looking up a picture for if and when we
Viewers,
put this on YouTube. Um, this is Lena Dupree from Scooby Doo Zombie Island. And she's got these gold hoop type earrings on, kind of like wavy, curly, dark hair, a corset, and a matching red headscarf. And she had this like French Creole accent. Oh my God.
ooh, wow.
Woo!
Wow.
Look at those collarbones.
I, like many girls, had lots of crushes on typical male characters such as Shang because
Oh,
ooh,
Shang is still hot.
Shang is hot. But also Shang has his own crisis about being gay. Which is a whole conversation we could have. I tried to explain that one to my mom and she was like, "What?" It was so funny. But
No, I hear that.
I truly think that my crush on Cusco from The Emperor's New Groove, but specifically in llama form, not human form.
I
I
forgot about
think
this.
I think that says a lot about how I feel about men in the sense that the hypermasculinity isn't as attractive to me as men that are like fun and character development. Like I okay, the reason that it's llama form, Dom gives me so much shit about this, but it's because he grows so much and he understands himself and he has to like connect with his emotions and he like, you know what I mean? And then he turns back into a
Emotional vulnerability is hot regardless of species.
right. Fuck off. Anyways, and so I find that whatever, because at the same time, like this was the same time that I was having like a huge crush on Pierce Brosnan, in James Bond in that one movie where he's pulling the girl behind the car. Anyways, and so I think that like those two opposites, and now like I am much more into the like the artsy, the nerdy, the like whatever man, and much more into the like hard, gritty, very short hair, very like masculine woman.
Hmm.
And, not to say that I don't find some very femme women attractive, but mm, it doesn't land for me, which
It
is
doesn't hit the
interesting
same.
because one time Dom was like, "Babe, you do realize like if you were in a relationship, like you would be the femme one," and I was like, "I don't know how I feel about that." Because no, but then he was like, "Well, what's the alternative?" And then I was like, "No, I don't think I could," because there's just, anyways, there's so much there to unpack. But my point being that I do think that I like my women like more masculine and I like my men more feminine, and you
Mm.
know,
Mhm.
I don't know. There's
Yeah,
lots
we
to
could
be
do
said
a
there.
whole nother episode on that, on the intersection of
Gender
sexuality and gender. If you're interested
and
in that,
stereotypes.
comment, DM us. Ooh, stereotypes. Yep,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a
yeah,
big
yeah.
one.
Ooh, yeah, like I love Dom in a sweater. You know what I mean? Like a
Aw,
nerdy
cute.
sweater, glasses. It's a vibe.
Aw.
Anyways, as we end, Olivia, what are you listening to this week?
Well, speaking of finding animals attractive.
Okay. Please tell me more.
Yeah. So, my one of my best friends, my neighbor down the hall and I went and
Okay.
saw Zootopia 2 a few days ago.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet, so don't give me any spoilers.
Oh my god. It was I here are my non-spoilers.
Okay.
It was even better than the first one, more emotionally resonant,
Ooh.
more character growth.
Mm.
Ki Hoi Kwan, short round as a snake. So cute.
Oh my God. Sorry, real quick, I'm just gonna interject that I think that one day we should have a discussion about the stereotypes and also our feelings about all the characters in Robin Hood.
Never seen it. But
What? You haven't seen the original Hottie Batty Fox of all time?
no, I'm
Put
just
some
not into
respect on his.
foxes like that.
Okay, well, foxes are my favorite animal, but that's not the point. Olivia, go. Okay, all right, it's fine. Continue.
You can play it for our misunderstood movie night.
I'm
All
going
right.
to. And the misunderstood is that your childhood was misunderstood.
I was a hyper femme princess girly, okay?
And it's
Don't come
got the
at me.
don't be talking about a girl like that. Okay, anyways, continue. Zootopia.
Anyway, Zootopia 2. The one semi-spoiler that I will air on the podcast because it's an opinion
Okay.
is that Gazelle, aka Shakira's song
Yeah.
from the first movie is
Yeah.
better. The song from Zootopia 2 doesn't slap as hard. So that's my
Okay.
pick for our song of the week. It's Try Everything from the Zootopia soundtrack.
So what's fascinating about that is that song Try Everything used to be on my Buenos Dias playlist, which I would listen to every morning, which is a crazy eclectic mix of music that includes actually a lot of like Christian rock, rock. I don't know. But it still hits to this day. I have been listening to a lot of my daughter's Fisher Price. Go to the animal fair. The monkeys and the chickens were there. But there's this one song on there that slaps, and I'm trying to find the name of it because I would like you to know. It's called wait. It's called Maybe. Is this it? Hold on. It is.
Maybe you could be a purple monkey in a bubblegum tree and
Oh,
sing
that you sing this
the
all the
breeze.
I
time.
do.
Then you could swing back to me. Maybe you could be a little bird with polka dot wings and
Okay, I don't know if
fly.
we're gonna get copyrighted or anything from that, but
I mean, Fisher Price and Mattel, you own it.
do you
Don't
want to
hate
sponsor
me. Yeah, please, Fisher Price coming to sponsor this.
podcast sponsored by
Um,
Fisher
I
Price?
hope not, but if we do, we'll fix it. But yeah, I've been up into that, because I freaking love that one. Like she has it on low piano, and I just like love that. But I honestly have been rediscovering my love of Teddy Swims this week because my daughter loves Teddy
Oh,
Swims, but oh my God, maybe it's the alternative man. I don't know what it is, but his voice, there's something about that, that rasp in a man's voice that makes me just like, ooh. So I love
Mm.
me some Teddy Swims.
Now I hear
And
that. One of my coworkers lost his voice this week, and I was like, okay.
hot.
Not like I'm gay, but
So funny. You would have loved to hear me when I was going to anaphylaxis this week. Anyways, Olivia, this is the end of our season. Can you believe it?
wow, our first season. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody who's been listening, following, leaving us reviews, recommending to your friends. This
Yes.
episode's a long boy, so this is perfect for your commute. Just don't crash into anybody when you hear us make revelations.
Right, it's true. And we will be back in a few weeks. You won't have to miss us
Next
too long. I
year,
promise. I know.
we'll be back in
Holidays
2020.
are chaotic, and so Olivia and I wanted to make sure that we have enough room for our lives, your life, and everything in between. But we will be dropping some maybe a hot take. So
Ooh.
keep your eye on the Instagram in the meantime. And besides that, we'll see you in 2026. Can't wait to see what season 2 has in store for us.
Ah,
Bye.
love you. Bye.